How's it going, football fans? Welcome inside the set. Wait a minute, we're not at the set of Gridiron Glory. We're coming at you live, a special broadcast tonight from Basil Rutter Field, the site of tonight's matchup of the century, they're calling it, in the TVC-Ohio. The Doc Kroner Trophy on the line, undefeated Nelsonville-York in town against unbeaten Athens. Also tonight we have covered Sheridan and Trimble fighting for their playoff lives, and there was a champion crowned in the SEOAL. But the matchup of the night came right here at Basil Rutter. The Buckeyes and the Bulldogs, 9-0 versus 9-0. It's been a matchup we've been anticipating all season long. Two teams who've been on a collision course the entire season, and tonight their paths finally crossed. We welcome up to the desk, covering this game for us tonight, Frank Bum and Justin Sampson. Guys, a matchup we've been waiting for all season long. What did we see out there tonight? Well, it certainly lived up to the hype. Athens gets the 24-21 win. It went to overtime. 4 quarters could not decide this matchup, and it's almost fitting. These were two very similar teams coming in. Their stats were almost identical against common opponents. It's only fitting it was a 21-21 game going to overtime. It really was. And okay, well, guys, it was a great matchup. You guys hang tight. We're going to have a lot more from these two as the show goes on, but for now, hang tight, don't go too far. Well, hey, football fans, be sure and check us out on the web. Go to WOUB.org for your favorite teams and leagues, all exclusive coverage, playoff info, league roundups, you name it, we have the best coverage in the area. And while you're on the web, be sure and check out our social media pages on Twitter and Facebook. We're active on Twitter at Gridiron Glory, the best source for score updates as they happen, and our reporters retweet just about anything you tweet at us. Also, give us a like on Facebook. Your support, very much appreciated. Well, tonight I made my way to Jackson for Fan of the Week. It's been a much anticipated stop for me because those Ironman fans about as passionate a bunch as you'll find in the entire region. With the SEOAL title on the line tonight, they had plenty to cheer about in this week's Fan of the Week. Well, the matchup those fans were so geared up for tonight, Jackson was hosting the Gallia Academy Blue Devils. A win would give the Ironmen their second straight outright league title in the SEOAL. A loss would mean they'd have to share that distinction with the Blue Devils. At this matchup tonight, we'll toss it live in the Gridiron Glory studios. Our SEOAL reporters, Josh Huntsberger and Carter Rodriguez. Fellas, something tells me the Ironmen were not in a sharing mood this evening.
No, they definitely weren't.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. That would be an enticing matchup. We'll see if that happens, Jackson and Athens. But congratulations to Jackson for winning the SEOAL title. Well, we know that Athens won their big matchup tonight with Nelsonville-York, giving them the outright league championship here in the TVC-Ohio. We're now joined at the desk with the winning coach, Coach Ryan Adams. First of all, congratulations on the big win tonight. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Coach, I mean, I got to ask you here, coming into this game, all the build-up, all the hype, all the magnitude, have you ever been a part of a game coming in that had this much hype and coming into it?
Well, you know, we didn't play a whole lot into all the hype. We tried to actually keep it away from us as best as we could. You know, the first, on Monday, we talked to the team about trying to stay away from all of that hype and whatnot and stay focused on the game at hand. And but as far as being a part of a game of this magnitude, you know, the last two years this matchup has been extremely close and tight just as well, and you know, 1-point ball games both times, but certainly once you got here and you got out and the crowd was out and about and roaring and whatnot, it definitely was had a much bigger feel to it than the last two.
Absolutely. So you guys stormed out to a 21-0 lead going into the half, turnovers galore both sides. What were you thinking at halftime, up 21-0?
Well, I kind of, you know, we felt obviously very confident. We had a good game plan in place, and the defense was doing extremely well, shutting down the run game, which, you know, unfortunately we weren't able to do for the whole ball game. But, you know, Nelsonville's a tough football team, and eventually they got things going their way. But, you know, anytime that you can come out and put that many turnovers down there on the field and come away 21-0, you're feeling very good about things.
Well, you had to expect Nelsonville-York would make a run. They did. They tied it up with a 21-0 run themselves in the second half. But did you ever sense your team lost confidence out there when they made that run?
Well, you know, it's kind of been the same. Well, back in '09, we were up 13-0 at halftime, and they came back and put 2 in and won at 14-13. So, you know, those thoughts do definitely creep into your mind, and you could just kind of really tell and see that the shift of momentum was totally changing the opposite way and whatnot, and we were having a lot of trouble and difficulty being able to move the ball, and they were having a lot more success running the football. And Dustin Young, you know, you got to tip your hat to him and the offensive lineman at Nelsonville-York. They did a heck of a job, you know, just really pretty much pinning their ears back and getting after it. You know, it's two very evenly matched football teams.
Absolutely, Coach. Now, you guys win the TVC-Ohio Championship. I'm sure that this will send you guys on a good playoff run. First, thanks a lot for joining us here tonight. Congratulations on the championship.
Thank you.
Well, one of the longest standing rivalries in all the region was renewed tonight between Trimble and Federal Hocking. The matchup in Stewart tonight pitted a very important game for the Tomcats, who are fighting for their playoff lives. At that matchup tonight and live in the Gridiron Glory studio was Nick Hurst. Nick, this was a must-win situation for the Tomcats on the outside looking in. Could they get this big win tonight?
Yeah, but like the Trimble.
Gut check victory, 33-0. Thanks a lot, Nick. Well, the 2011 Player of the Year race is as unprecedented as it is talented. Instead of 5, 6 players have risen to the forefront as top candidates for the Gridiron Glory 2011 Player of the Year. In Wahama, the White Falcons are led by offensive stalwart Isaac Lee. Whether it's catching passes or running from the backfield, Lee averages over 17 yards a touch and has scored 12 touchdowns. Fans in Jackson have been treated to marvelous play from Austin Osborne. Osborne can be a quarterback, completing 69% of his passes, or an in-your-face runner, racking up 730 yards on the ground, making him a part of 32 Jackson touchdowns. It's been a great season for Maysville running back Jeremy Willison, almost single-handedly carrying the Panthers to a winning season, rushing for nearly 1,200 yards, scoring 15 total touchdowns, all while playing stout defense. In Sheridan, Mitchell Fouch has accumulated over 1,400 yards on the ground with 19 touchdowns and averages over 11 yards a carry. In Buckeye land, Dustin Young has put together a monster season, leading the Buckeye attack with an astounding 1,500 yards on the ground, and he scored 25 touchdowns. In Athens, it's no secret the Bulldog offense runs through star running back Devon Sharp. Whether it's rushing for 1,200 yards, receiving for almost 200, or even throwing for 135 more, Sharp does it all. All 6 are deserving, but only one will win Gridiron Glory's Player of the Year. Well, be sure and cast your vote for Isaac Lee, Austin Osborne, Jeremy Willison, Mitchell Fouch, Dustin Young, or Devon Sharp by November 14th to our Player of the Year at WOUB.org email address. Only one vote per person. The winner will be announced on our finale show, November the 18th. Well, we know Athens knocked off Nelsonville-York tonight, the big matchup of the century in the TVC-Ohio. Athens gets the win, but before the kickoff even happened tonight, we knew both these teams were playoff bound. So where do they go from here? Answering that question, back at the desk with us, Frank Bum and Justin Sampson. Guys, we'll start with Athens, the winner tonight. They needed a win tonight to lock up a home field playoff berth. Certainly that happened tonight.
Absolutely, it did. They will most certainly get that home playoff game next week.
Now we'll go to Nelsonville-York. They were playing for a potential 1 seed with a victory tonight. Certainly their loss will probably knock them away from that. But they should still be sitting pretty for a home playoff game, don't you think, Frank?
Absolutely, Blake. I mean, they had a lot of points going into this game because of their trips to higher divisions. They got to pick themselves up, but if anybody can pick a team up like this, it's Dave Boston.
Absolutely. So Nelsonville-York and Athens will have home playoff games. How important is it, do you think, for them that they do have that home game to get them, you know, at least a first-round win, maybe even more, propel them into something big here?
Well, I think for Athens, it's huge tonight.
Well, now our extra point coverage tonight centered around Meigs and Alexander and Wahama hosting Miller. We'll send it now to the Gridiron Glory studios where Mark Pierce is waiting there to break down those highlights. Mark, take it away.
Hey, you know, it's week 10 and by...
Well, after a disappointing loss to Tri-Valley last week, the Sheridan Generals playoff situation has become quite precarious. Tonight, they needed a win over a tough new Lexington team in order to punch their ticket into the playoffs. We go live in the Gridiron Glory studio now. Pat Chiesa and Glenn Janos standing there waiting by. Guys, Sheridan needed this win tonight, but it certainly wouldn't be easy at a tough new Lexington team.
That's exactly right, Blake.
All right, congrats to Tri-Valley, and you had to figure Sheridan would bounce back after last week's loss. Well, we're going to keep it right there in the studio. Mark Pierce is standing by to give us tonight's top plays.
Right, this is one of my favorite parts. Hey. Back to you, buddy.
All right, thanks a lot, Mark. Well, that does it. That does it for this week's show. That concludes our coverage of the 2011 regular season. But next week is the playoffs. It's do or die time around the region, and Gridiron Glory will be right here covering it all. So join us next week, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.